Okay, let's begin from the history of psychology, because last class we explained about the introduction. So now I'm going to explain you about the history of psychology. Okay, so in this, for your level, because your level is, I think, certificate level, the foundation course. So we will be explaining only a brief part about the history of psychology and the philosophers who contributed for the history of psychology. Okay, so your homework would be, now once I finish this lesson inshallah today, right, you'll be your task would be to do a research on these particular individuals whom I'm going to explain today, and you all have to prepare a separate note on your own, because once this pandemic and everything is back to normal, we'll be starting up on campus classes as usual. We'll be doing it. So at that time, I will be requesting you all to send the notes. So we will be checking your notes before your final examination. Okay, so you all have to be alert on these things, and you all have to be well prepared now itself. Okay, so let's go on to the first slide. The main idea of history, studying history of psychology. Let's see. Since ancient times, philosophers and scientists have studied behavior and mental processes. I have told you earlier that psychology is something that is depending, like the study of mind and behavior, right? Psychology means the study of mind and behavior of a person. So I have explained you all earlier that each and every individual, they are made up of different types of behaviors. That means they are full of behaviors. So we can simply say that they are made up of behaviors, because each and every individual, or if you take your family members, their behaviors will be totally different from each other. So every human being is a collection of behaviors. So even from ancient times, there were philosophers and scientists who had studied about behaviors and mental processes. Okay, so they have studied about behaviors and mental processes. Psychologists throughout history have continued to refine and develop these studies. So what they have done was, from ancient times, they have studied about behavior, mental processes of human beings, and throughout the history until today, they have been refining, that means improving, right? Improving that and developing the studies of psychology. Okay, so that is what from ancient times till today, they have been developing the studies related to psychology. Right, the early views and beliefs. Psychology is as old as human history. So you all know that psychology is mainly the study of mind and behavior. So you all know since ancient time, that means from the day that human stepped on earth, from that day onwards, this term psychology is been in use, right? Because people have been looking at studying about their behavior, studying about their mind. So maybe sometimes at the earlier stages, they wouldn't have known the term psychology, but the study of psychology was in existence since the since the time man started to live on earth. Okay, so psychology is as old as human history. Written account of the interest in people's actions, motives, and thoughts can be traced to ancient times. So here you can see that they have mentioned that. So written account, that means even ancient times, right? They have written people's actions, people's motives, people's thoughts, right? And that is available maybe in Greece, right? In many museums, that is those scriptures are available, right? The ancient scriptures where people have studied about each other's actions, motives, and thoughts. So with that base, we can identify that even from ancient times, they have been studying about psychology. And can all of you see this picture on the left side corner of the screen? Can all of you see this picture?
Yes, sir.
All right. So what can you say about this? Can someone give me a good answer? What can you say about this picture?
Different thoughts of different
Exactly.
people.
Very good, very good. So actually you can see each and every, now this is one family, right? Mother, father, and the two children, right? You can see, but each other are having different thoughts, So this is what I want to explain you all, that even though you all are brothers, sisters, or in the same family, right, or maybe you all are twins, whatever, right, but your thoughts would be always different from each other. So this picture depicts that. Okay, let's go to the next. Now I'm going to talk about two philosophers, Greek philosophers, who are well known to in psychology. So Socrates, right? So the first one is Socrates that we are going to hear. You can see on the left side, he's the person, right? Socrates developed a method of learning called introspection, which means to carefully examine our own thoughts and feelings. So now your homework would be, what is this introspection? Right now, this is just given in one statement, which means to carefully examine our own thoughts and feelings. So that word, the term given to this was introspection, and that was given by the ancient Greek philosopher Socrates. Right? So what you have to do is you all have to study this deep, and you all have to write your own note, right, about introspection. Right? How did he find out this? How did he discover this method? On what basis did he discover this? Right? What is his lifespan? I mean, like from what time to what time he was contributing to psychology, right? And all those things you all have to prepare your own notes. Right? The next thing is Aristotle. He's also a Greek philosopher. You can see on the right hand side of the screen, right? Aristotle outlined associationism, right? The theory that association with past experience is a basic principle of mental activity. So what Aristotle told was, right, the past experiences, right, is the basic principle of mental activity. Now you can see even at during modern times, people, what they do is they judge each other by their past experiences. Have you all noticed that? Have you all noticed that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because even the same thing is still continuing, right? Because many people, they judge a person's mental activity based on their past experiences, right? So that was discovered associationism, right? That means they associate the past with the present mental activity. Okay, so that was discovered by the Greek philosopher Aristotle. Right, let's go to the next one. Wilhelm Wundt and structuralism, right? Wilhelm Wundt also is a philosopher, right? He was known as the father of experimental psychology. The father of experimental psychology. Let's see what he found. So now you have to do for your homework, you have to write an article about Socrates, right? Socrates and Aristotle. Next, you have to write about Wilhelm Wundt, right? He developed a theory known as structuralism. Now you can see in the previous thing, Socrates developed something known as introspection. Aristotle developed a theory known as associationism. And now you can, so Wilhelm, he developed a theory known as structuralism. So let's see what is it. Focused on the basic elements of consciousness, right? Structuralism, his theory is based on the basic elements of consciousness. Okay, so when you all Google this and you can find out more detail, I want you all to self-study. I'm giving you the basic things. You all have to self-study, research, because psychology is a subject where we can't teach you each and every, we can't spoon feed you all. Okay, so you all have to research, right? You all have to search, you all have to Google, you all have to read books, right? Later, I will give you all some names of the books where you all can purchase it, right? You all can purchase it, you all can start reading those books to gather more and more knowledge. Right, let's read the first. Wundt founded in a field of psychology known as structuralism. So structuralism is a field of psychology focused on the basic elements of consciousness. So he developed something which is related to consciousness. Okay, consciousness is awareness. Okay, Wundt broke down consciousness into objective sensations and subjective feelings. So he explained, right? He segregated consciousness into two main parts. The first one is objective sensations and subjective feelings. So he was more towards this experimental psychology. That's why we brand him as the father of experimental psychology. So if you Google here about him, you will get a clear idea about who he is and what are the factors that led to find out this field of psychology known as structuralism. Okay, right. Let's go to the next slide. William James and functionalism. Right now, I'm going to tell you this structuralism and functionalism has some interconnection. Okay, I will tell you what it is. Okay, so now you know in earlier stages, now even at the present, when someone invents something, okay, when someone invent something new, another person will be waiting to prove that wrong and he will invent something new. Have you all observed that? Have you all observed that in society? You see, when one person is coming up in a particular stage, there will be another person to put him down and come up beyond him. Right? You all have seen that. So similarly, right? So even Wilhelm, right? What he did was he introduced a field known as structuralism, but William James, he introduced a field known as functionalism, and what he did was he rejected structuralism. So William James is an American philosopher, right? He's an American philosopher and a psychologist, right? And he's the first to offer psychology course in United States, right? He's the first scientist or first psychologist to offer psychology course. So that is what now today we are conducting courses on psychology, because he is the person who introduced psychology courses, right? So to study psychology as a course, because in ancient times, psychology was studied by each and every individual because it is the study of mind and behavior. So you don't need a particular graduation for that in order to study. But nowadays it is very important because it is applicable for, it has become a career, right? So he's an American philosopher, a historian and a psychologist who introduced psychology courses, who is the first to introduce psychology courses in United States. And the main thing is he rejected structuralism. Okay. And also now what is he going to tell? Experience is a continuous stream of consciousness. So his functionalism theory is experience is a continuous stream of consciousness. Now let's see this. What is structuralism here? Basic elements of consciousness. So what Wilhelm did was he broke down consciousness into objective sensations and subjective feelings. Okay, so then later what William James did was he told what Wilhelm told was totally wrong. Structuralism is totally wrong. Then he told experience is a continuous stream of consciousness. So that is 100% true, because you experience. Now there is a saying that experience is the best teacher of your life. So you can learn a lot of things through experience, right? So similarly, you can see experience is a continuous stream of consciousness. So the more you experience, the more you become conscious. So when actually experience means what? A stream of consciousness. Stream means a gathering of more and more conscious or awareness, right? Where you become conscious. So this is known as functionalism, right? So functionalism theory is the experience is a continuous, that is the theory. Let's see, functional is a study of how mental processes help organism adapt to their environment. It is a study how mental processes help organisms to adapt to their environment. Now just imagine, now if now you're living in Sri Lanka, okay? Now if you all have an idea of going to Canada, okay, I'll just take an example. If you all, how many of you all have an idea to go abroad and do your studies? How many of you all have the idea? Hello? Hello?
No, sir.
No one has the idea of going abroad and doing your studies? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please answer because we are shortage of time. Okay, you all have to give quick answers. Okay, I will get you a good example. Right now, if a person or here they are saying that functionalism is a study how mental processes help organism to adapt to their environment. Now, you all are very comfortable in studying in Sri Lanka, but the same person, if a student is willing to go abroad, for example, if he or she is willing to go to Canada and study, right? So if they are going to do their higher studies for the 3 years, if you are going to do their undergraduate studies for 3 years, so there you can see that the climate of Canada is very cold, right? The climate is in negative degrees Celsius, right? Minus degrees Celsius, and it's very cold. So if a person is going to Canada, right, his main target is to study. So what will he do? He will develop a mental process where he can adapt to that environment, right? Where he can make up his mind, right? So everything is depending on the mind. So where you can alter any environmental situation if you can control your mental process. So that is known as functionalism, right? It is the study how mental processes help organisms to adapt to their environment. Did you all understand that?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the
Yes,
next one.
sir.
Good. Right. Next one is Sigmund Freud. Right. Sigmund Freud and psychoanalysis. Actually, Sigmund Freud is an Australian neurologist, and he's considered as the father of psychology, father of modern psychology. Right. Because he is the person who contributed to a theory known as he is the person who found psychoanalysis. Let's see what is psychoanalysis. Sigmund Freud was an Austrian neurologist and the founder of psychoanalysis. Psychoanalysis means emphasizes unconscious motives and internal conflicts in human behavior. Psycho means what? Mind. Analysis means where we analyze, right? We go into deeper of the mind. So he's the person, Sigmund Freud was the person who introduced psychoanalysis. That means where we study deep about the unconscious mind, right? And the internal conflicts in human behavior. Okay, so he's known as the father of modern psychology. Right. Psychodynamic thinking. Psychodynamic thinking assumes that most of what exists is an individual's mind is in an individual's mind is unconscious and consists of conflicting impulses, urges, and wishes. So what he introduced, well, actually here, in case if this session disconnects, you all better join again. All right, because there might be a time problem. If it disconnects in between, you all better join again. Okay. Assuming that most of what exists in an individual's mind. So what he assumed was in every individual's mind, right? What does it contain, right? It contains of unconscious and consists of conflicts, impulses. That means, or in most of the individual's mind, right? What he indirectly says that lot of conflicting impulses are available because he's a person who studied about the unconscious motives of human behavior, right? Unconscious motives and internal conflicts of human behavior. He is the person who deeply studied about it. So what he said was, according to his studies, right? He said that in every individual's mind, right, there is unconscious and the mind is unconscious, right? And it consists of conflicting impulses, right? So this one, when you Google, and you can go into YouTube rather than Google, you can just go into YouTube and you can just type this topic, Sigmund Freud and psychoanalysis. Then you will get a video where you can watch the video, because videos go to your mind very faster than reading an article. Okay, so go to YouTube, just type this topic, then you will get some videos. Just watch a few videos, then you will understand what is psychoanalysis and what actually he contributed to the development of psychology and why is he considered as the father of modern psychology. Right. Next is the last and important thing is the key to human behavior is satisfying desires. So actually we are always trying to satisfy a desire. So why do you want to, for many people, what they need is like they need to satisfy their own desire. That is known as human behavior. So we are earning for what? We are earning to live, right? Living means what? You need to eat, you need to drink, you need to satisfy yourself. Actually, many people, that is what they are trying to do. That is known as human behavior. Almost all the human are, what they're trying to do is they are trying to satisfy their own desires. Like desires means likes, interests. Okay, so they are trying to satisfy their own interest. Let's go to the next one. Modern developments. Right, John B. Watson and behaviorism. Now you can see now each and every person is specializing in something. Sigmund Freud, psychoanalysis. Now John B. Watson is on behaviorism. He's an American psychologist, founded the school of behaviorism. So he founded a school of behaviorism, and now it is available. I think in worldwide there are 5 to 6 these types of schools, right? So he's the founder of the school of behaviorism, which defines psychology as a scientific study of observable behavior. Observable behavior. So in the school of behaviorism, what they do is they study the scientific study of observable behavior. He holds that people can be totally conditioned by external events and that belief in individual choice is just an illusion. So what he told was a behavior, that means a person's behavior can be changed by external events. Now, if you are, that means you can change your behavior according to the environment that you are living in. Now, in a school, you behave in a particular disciplined way. Right? If you come home, you will be behaving in a very relaxed way. Why? Because your mindset is telling that, okay, this is your home. You have all the freedom. But when you go outside, when you go to a visitor's place, you know how to, you change your behaviors. So that is how the external environment is adjusted according to your behavior is adjusted according to the external environment. Right? Okay, so that is all for today. Okay, so that is what we studied, and I'll just give you a summary on what we did. Okay, the main philosophers that we discussed, right? We discussed about Socrates, Aristotle, and Wilhelm Wundt, right? William James, Sigmund Freud, John B. Watson. Okay, so these are the people that we discussed, and these are the this is the basic about history of psychology. And what you all have to do is you all have to take each and every psychologist, philosophers who contributed for the development of psychology, and you all have to prepare a PDF document. And let me just briefly explain you all about that assignment which I gave you all the previous day. Okay, you all have to prepare that assignment in a Word document. Okay, you all have to type it in a Word document. You all can include pictures, right? And then you all have to make a cover page. The cover page means you all have to include your name, your course, your level, right? Your full name, right? And you all have to make a cover page in Word. And the final assignment should be in a PDF form. Okay, and that PDF form should be submitted on Sunday before 6 p.m. Right? You can share it in our WhatsApp group. Right. Meanwhile, you can. Meanwhile, you can. I will tell you what to do for the, and you have to print a hard copy and you have to send it to our campus address. That you have to register post it to our campus address. Okay. So Sunday before 6 o'clock, I need all 4 of yours. And the rest of the students also, I will be needing their assignments. You all have to submit it to the WhatsApp group. Okay, the PDF file, you all have to submit it through the WhatsApp, because this mark will be added to your final results. All right, so do you all have any doubts about today's session?